George, a curious little monkey. Here he comes, as happy as can be. Curious George, a curious little monkey. Why is he curious? Well, let's go and see.
Curious George rings the bell. The church bell didn't ring yet, George, said the man with the yellow hat, but it must be time soon. You go ahead, and I'll meet you there. On his way to church, George met Mickey and Sandra, dressed up in their Sunday best. There was a football on the grass across the street. George ran over and threw the ball to Mickey. Nice going, George, said Mickey, and they ran over to play with George. We'd better be careful, Sandra said. It's muddy over here. Just when she said that, George kicked the ball right into a patch of mud. Oh, no, she cried. What will Mother say? Mickey grabbed the ball and kicked it back to George. But George missed it and fell into a puddle. What a mess! Just then, Mrs. Wicker, the Sunday school teacher, came running over. As George was shaking off the mud, it splashed all over her new dress. George, she cried, look what you've done. George was scared. He ran to the side of the church, climbed all the way up the bell tower, jumped inside, and hid behind a bell. Just then, the minister and the janitor came up. Why aren't the bells ringing? Asked the minister. I keep pressing the button, but the power must be off, said the janitor. Can't you ring them by hand? Asked the minister. The ropes are too high for me, said the janitor. Well, you'd better get them ringing soon, said the minister, or no one will come to church. And he left. Oh, dear, said the janitor. How can I make them work? But George knew what to do. He jumped down from his hiding place and landed on a rope. Then he jumped from one rope to another. Up and down. Up and down. The bells are ringing, cried the minister, and ran up the stairs again. A monkey is ringing them, shouted the janitor. Why, it's George, said the minister. Keep ringing, George. Keep ringing. George kept ringing. All the people heard them. Now they knew it was time to go to church. George could see the man with the yellow hat and all the neighbors walking to church. Mickey and Sandra and the other children waved to George. See you in church, they shouted. But as soon as George came down, Mrs. Wicker, the Sunday school teacher, grabbed him. You are not going to get away again, she shouted. I'll tell the minister about you. Just a moment, Mrs. Wicker, said the minister. George should not have messed up your dress, but he did make up for it by ringing our church bells. Finally, the service began. We are lucky to have our friend George with us today, began the minister. Without him, there would not have been a service.